Good afternoon, everyone. It's the one, the only Senor Silverback, the gorilla in the Econo Mist, coming to you on another Hump Day, but it's post Hump Day because we had some issues yesterday. But we are here again, another week, another Hump Day, and great information from none other than Bix Weir, the man, the myth, the legend, the Sultan of Silver, the Baron of Bitcoin, the Gandalf of Gold. The men hate him, the women want to be with him. Bix, how are you, buddy? How are you?
I'm good. Sorry about yesterday. My son had an ankle injury, and he's a soccer guy, and he was all scared that his future dreams of playing for the U.S. national team would be dashed. But it was only a sprain, so we're all good. All good.
His son is a soccer badass. I mean, a serious
He is
badass when it comes
amazing. Yeah, he's going to graduate from high school in June. He's off to Spain to try his luck in the European League. So yeah, we'll see. Keep an eye out for that last name.
That's awesome.
Weird. I'm trying to.
Weird.
I'm trying to get him to go with the number 1 on his jersey. So when the fans in the stands say "We're number 1," it doesn't matter which team they're rooting for. He's always the guy that they're rooting for.
That's it.
He won't do it. He won't do it though.
He doesn't want to be embarrassed. That's why.
Well, I know, but yeah, it would be so cool. We're number 1. We're number 1. You know, fans chant that. It would be great.
Of course. Man, a lot of things going on. I mean, where do we begin? I mean, let's start with your neck of the woods, because I had this weird dream that I actually flew out to Bix and say, "Hey, Bix, I was trying to convince you to get the hell out of California because they're about to secede and you're about to get trapped." And I was like trying to convince you to go, and you were like, "No, I don't want to leave. I got to stay here." And I'm like, "Bix, what's wrong with you? You got to get out before. Quick, run to the chopper. It's going to go now, Bix. You got to go quickly. Do it now." I was trying to convince you that, with my Arnold accent, man. But what's going on? You got the Berkeley protest, and then I guess we get into Trump right afterwards.
What?
Do Trump first, we get into Trump.
Now let's talk about what happened in Berkeley. So Steve Bannon's old company, Breitbart, the editor for Breitbart was going to make a speech at Berkeley.
Milo.
Yeah, Milo. How do you say his last name? Yiannopoulos or something like that?
Yes.
Anyway, he's a good guy. I'd say he's a libertarian. He's a gay libertarian. So Berkeley should have loved that. But no, but they don't. There's a lot of pent up, unrecognizable, undefinable anger going on in California about Trump, and they just see Trump. They don't see the bigger picture behind the scenes. But Trump really hasn't been showing people the bigger picture either. And I think that will be key to getting the rest of the country around and embracing what he's trying to do. But so there's going to be a speech last night in Berkeley. Berkeley will protest anything, first of all. Let's just get that straight. So there's and it's the city of Berkeley and the campus there. So it's sometimes it's hard to differentiate the two. The students are there anywhere from 4 to 8 years, depending on their, get their triple masters, or depending on how, a lot of them just don't want to leave their, cushy little life in Berkeley. But there's
they get their triple bachelors. That's what it is.
But there's also it's a big city, and there's a community, and very probably as left leaning as it gets in the whole United States. So it's I have no problem going into Berkeley when they're not all riled up. But when they're riled up, it usually doesn't get violent. They'll usually smash some windows on University Avenue, anything with like a big corporate name like the Gap. The Gap used to have a store right on University Avenue. At every protest, they'd smash the windows of the Gap. But so there was a 1,500 people protest. They're just looking for something to protest these days. And they were going to protest Milo's speech. So they get there, and everything's going all right, and then apparently there was 150 of them that put on black masks and just start riots and burning stuff and crashing stuff. I have been in that environment before, back in the the Occupy movement. There was a big march in Oakland, and I was marching with them. I mean, that was against the bankers, and that was, I was all about that. So I marched with them in Oakland, and there was 500,000 people. I don't know exactly how many people, but there are these guys in the black hoods, and they call them agitators, and they're flown in, they're flown in to cause trouble.
Yeah. Black bloc. That's what they're called, I think.
Yeah, and it's just it gets everybody else riled up, and then there are actually people in these peaceful protests that are screaming at them, "Stop it! Stop it! What are you doing?" And the march I went to in Oakland, one of the organizers of it was walking around with a bullhorn saying, "Everybody, look for agitators that are trying to give us a bad name by crashing things, and they'll wear black and they'll put black hoods on and go break windows, and they're paid agitators. We don't want to be associated with them, blah, blah, blah." So that's how the protests got out of hand. But the interesting thing is I think Trump is turning into the badass that he is. He said, well, for some reason he blamed the university, and it's not the university's fault. I think within there's basically it's students coming in and out. They can be very left leaning. It's not university's fault that there was mass destruction. You can go back to whoever funded these guys in black masks for that. So Trump saying, "Hey, I'm going to defund University UC Berkeley," which gets about $370 million every year from the federal government, which I would defund all universities. I don't know why he's saying just that. I mean, that's a different issue. But Trump venting on basically the university, I think, is misplaced. I think, it wasn't the university let this guy speak, and they shuffled him out when it got ugly. So the university isn't at fault. The protesters who destroyed the protesters aren't at fault either. That's your right in America to protest. The violence and the agitators. All Trump needs to do is go to the heart of who paid these guys, and they'll probably get around to people like George Soros. You go to George Soros, right, and then you rip him out of his position of funding these people and arrest him for all the crimes that he has committed. That's how you solve the problem. You don't say, "Oh, I'm gonna defund the university," but where did Trump get those funds in the first place to fund the university? It all gets back to fiat money and how all these things have been given away because we can create money out of thin air. Our government hasn't earned that money. They created it out of thin air. So it's a much bigger problem, and you're going to see a lot more of the unrest because we're trying to move from a kind of a capitalist socialist society back to a capitalist society. And the move backwards from socialism to capitalism is not how it works. It never is how it works. It always progresses from capitalism to socialism to communism. Capitalism meaning private ownership of the means of production and distribution and exchanges. Socialism meaning it is the production and distribution is controlled by the community as a whole with regulations, and then communism is kind of where you end up, where it's the ruling political party, the state owns everything, owns all. There is no private property, and the ruling party is kind of in charge of everything. Then that blows up, and it goes back to a free form of capitalism. That's the way it goes. So we can't go from the type of socialism we've been living in. At least, I mean, I would say it goes back since the invention of the Federal Reserve. But you could say, Obama took it to the max, increased our debt, gave everybody free everything. And then now Trump comes in and says, we're going to return America to something great along the lines of capitalism. Well, you can't go backwards. That's the problem, because you're taking things away from people that you've already given them. They think it's their right to own them. So, yeah, we're going to have to do something different than reconfigure and move from a capitalist version of capitalism or a socialist version of capitalism back to a true capitalism, because it's not going to work, and it will never work. You can't give people something and then under a different administration take it away. So it's not Trump's fault. This free stuff started it started becoming free since 1913 when we didn't have to earn our money anymore. We could just print it. So it's everybody's fault. It's just now coming to a head, and it's going to get a lot uglier, unfortunately. And you're going to see, you're already seeing these pacifists turn into activists and militant activists. And there's no turning back. There is no turning back. So we got to go through it, and it's barely started. And Trump's a good guy to have in charge of this thing, but at the end of the day, he's going to have to tell everybody what was really happening in Congress and behind the scenes if he wants everybody to kind of help him get through this stuff.
Yeah, absolutely, man. And, the funny thing is, Milo Yiannopoulos, he gave an explanation of what was going down. I didn't realize this, but UC Berkeley at the last minute was pulling the security team. Like they were supposed to provide security. And like a few days before Milo was even supposed to show up, they pulled it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we're not going to provide security. If you want security, you're going to have to get it done yourself.
Well, I didn't hear that. If they did that, they should have just canceled the event.
Right.
If they have to provide a secure place for him to speak, if he can't get a secure spot in to vent his feelings, as Berkeley loves to do, then there's a problem with UC Berkeley. And yeah, I would get why Trump would say defund it.
And it was like all up and down the many of the California universities that he was hitting. It was the same thing. It was like a couple of days before he would speak, they say, oh, we can't pay for the security. It's going to be. They'd go to the student organization that's organizing this, and they tell these students, these are college kids, they obviously don't have any money, and then they'll go up to these college kids and you need to come up with $6,000 for security fees for this event. And the kid's like, what? So the only way Milo got it done was that he had a private donor who remained anonymous because he doesn't want to be threatened or killed. Put up the money because and this is what it is. But the blowback of this whole damn thing is this: is the rest of the country starting to see the left as the absolute unhinged lunatic left that they've always been. And that's the message they're getting across. It's like these people are completely irrational. This is the political fifth column that's out there. And then the question that's starting to rise, that's starting to trend everywhere, is who are these morons in the black masks? Who is the black bloc? And that is starting to really get in front and center with a lot of what the rest of the country is starting to view as. So it's there's a double-edged sword here.
Well, I agree, but I mean, where Trump is making a mistake, or maybe it's timing, is exposing the truth to the people, both the economic truth. Tell people that the past administration lied about every economic indicator out there, unemployment and the inflationary everything. Be it that, or be it the monetary truth that they rig the markets every day. Be it the truth behind the pedophile issue within Congress, be it the truth behind the Clinton Global Initiative, be it the truth behind the Bushes and that faction. They don't. Here's the problem: we've been shielded from the truth our whole lives. Us, you, me, and everybody who was born after 1913. We've been shielded from the truth, and if we want to be great, we need to know the truth, and the people have to digest it and man up and say, oh, maybe the religion that I've practiced so, devoutly is different. I'm doing something that was done for a reason. And that's a big part of it as well. Which religion is correct? If one of them is correct, the rest are not correct. And that's kind of a big problem. I think they're stumbling over and how to transition out of this world that was fabricated and shown to us to be real into the real world, into what was going on behind the scenes. Why were we told these things about the economy? Why were we told these things about religion? Why were we told these things about society? And we need some truth and honesty. And until we get there, we're going to see, I would say when you have a little banking hiccup, that's the only thing holding back revolution. And revolution is nobody even knows who will be revolting against who anymore. Is it, they say, California is going to secede from the Union, but okay, California secedes from the Union. What happens? Okay, all the debt that California has is gone, is destroyed, and they don't have a currency, so they'll have to start a California form of currency. It'd probably be blockchain related. But yeah, it's bad. The whole thing is a mess, and it's just going to get worse. And if California and the left want to protest, and they find a person within the administration of Trump to vent all their anger at, Trump's got to come up with the goods. He's got to come up and say, here's why I'm doing this. This is the right thing, and here's why. But he hasn't done that yet. He's just doing the right thing. He's just not telling people why. You there? Yeah, are you there? Hello, snack bar.
Yo.
I hear you. Can you hear me?
Okay, Bix, I lost audio. I can't hear you, but keep going.
Okay. Wow. I'm glad you didn't lose my audio because I was on a rant. So yeah, there's a lot of problems that we have, and it's going to get worse. I used to be I wasn't big into people having guns. I was kind of a pacifist in that area, probably because I came from California. But after the Rodney King riots in LA and in Oakland, I said, I have no protection at my house and to protect my friends and family. So that's when I started understanding better that guns are not necessarily offensive weapons. They're a great defensive weapon. And when you're sitting there without one and the society starts falling apart and they're going house to house for food or just to rampage like these guys in the black masks, get a gun. You're going to need a gun. Everybody's going to need a gun. There'll be a couple instances where those guns are used, and then all of a sudden the bad guys who decided who were going to go house to house to steal everything they can will stop doing that because they don't know which house has a gun and which house does not.
Got it. I'm back.
Okay, good. I was going on gun control and all that, and how I am an advocate of having a gun, even if you're a pacifist, just for your own protection. Because we are getting into that point where society is going to break down, and it's all part of the transition out of the old system and into the new one. So,
California is breaking down a lot faster. I got off the phone with my buddy yesterday, who works in the Hollywood entertainment industry in California, and he's like, I can't go to a business meeting without some leftists breaking down and crying about Trump, and they're all buying ammo and guns. It's the funniest thing he says. He started cracking up.
It's true, and I don't know if you saw there was a newspaper article that they started the pedophile arrests in L.A.
No, really?
Yeah, they've already arrested 425 people. None of the big names though. That's the funny thing. Well, you remember when the first question that Dianne Feinstein asked Jeff Sessions?
Yes,
it was, "What are you going to do about the pedophile problem?"
Yes, I remember that.
Yeah, and there was arrests. Somebody sent me an article. I looked for it again. I couldn't find it. I'll track it down. But supposedly they're starting from the bottom and then, or at least announcing what's going on. A lot of this stuff isn't announced until later because they don't want people involved to run away. They want to make all the arrests and then announce it. So yeah, it's a gigantic problem. I mean, is it I've been hearing it's a third of our congressmen are pedophiles. Like legally, if not a lot worse. So there's got to be a culling of that problem out of Washington. And what would that do if there was talk about a constitutional crisis.
Yeah.
If you're going to arrest a third of Congress for being pedophiles, who's going to be mad? I think everybody will be mad at government. And you wouldn't, who would pay their taxes? Nobody. Government would be done overnight once that trigger is pulled. So will Trump allow that trigger to be pulled? I sure hope so. But there's so many within our, Trump might be one of them. I don't know. Everybody talks about his relationship with Jeffrey Epstein. Well, Trump knows everybody in New York, and just because he was related to this freak doesn't mean he participated. But then again, it doesn't mean he didn't either. So, there might be an issue there. Mm-hmm. I think when this all starts breaking apart, and I think it will start breaking apart soon, we're going to start seeing some of the videos that Jeffrey Epstein was taking from his island, You know, he'd fly the rich and famous and the politicians and the superstars.
I've been there many times. I tell you right now, Bix, I had a great time on the Lolita Express.
26. He went 26 times.
It's Hillary Clinton
36. Hillary went 20-something times. I mean, and supposedly he worked for the Mossad, the Israeli Secret Service.
Yeah, it was a honeypot operation.
Yeah, exactly. So they film these, you know, rich and famous people, and they have total control over them.
Yeah.
But supposedly there are hints that a couple of these videos are going to be leaked, and I don't know who would be on them. I think it would be, you know, the media would eat it up, and maybe even CNN would get their ratings back with that kind of release.
They won't. The Clinton News Network will probably protect this dispersion. So who knows, man? Probably anonymous or WikiLeaks. Somebody will leak it.
Well,
get it out there.
See, that's the thing. Anonymous and WikiLeaks has all this dirt. They just haven't. Why won't WikiLeaks? You know, we're all like, oh yeah, WikiLeaks is great. They let they let all this stuff out of the back. They don't. They hold back a lot of stuff, and it's like, why are they holding it back? You know,
maybe because timing. Maybe there is a coordinated effort between the good guys, WikiLeaks, Anonymous, all these characters. They're coordinating their timing to get it right. Maybe there's something there that we don't see, that we're not. It's not on our radar screen. But
yeah, I definitely think that's the issue.
Yeah.
But to say that nobody knows, no, there's a lot of people who have this information.
Right.
And even the New York City Police Department, who's busting Anthony Weiner and Ubed Abedin and found that file on what do they call it, life insurance.
Mm-hmm.
with 650 emails, videos, and recordings.
Yep.
And they're not saying anything about it.
No, and the guy that's on it is basically Rudy Giuliani 2.0, which is pre-Pahara, who's a straight up hard nosed DA. He and he's in the Southern District Court of New York, which is known as the Rebellion Court, which is those guys in the Southern District of New York are known historically to, you know, go against the grain. They when they're out for blood, those guys.
Well, I'll believe it when I see it.
Yeah, that's what I'm waiting for as well. But
all this stuff is kind of happening in the background. In the meantime, people are getting more and more mad at Trump, and Trump is doing nothing to quell that, which I don't think he should. Trump is acting as if everybody kind of already knows that the system was really screwed up, and he's just trying to fix it.
Yeah,
because he's going like his latest. What was his latest? He's just turning into a badass. He's a badass in negotiations. We've all known that. We've all known that. A guy I worked with very closely negotiated against Trump for his helicopter, and he said, "Oh, he was the nicest guy," until all of a sudden he clicked, and he just was screaming and yelling at me and calling me a shyster. Well, I think he just did the same thing to the guy in Australia, the Goldman Sachs puppet. What's his name? Malcolm Turnbull.
Turnbull.
Yeah. So Trump gets on the phone with him, and Turnbull had agreed with Obama in principle that all their, a big chunk of their offshore refugee asylum seekers, like over 1,000 of them would be given to the United States and just let in the country. These are people from Iran and Afghanistan and Syria and Iraq. And Trump is on the phone with him. He's like, "What the hell are you talking about? I am not going to let these people into my country."
Right.
And, Turnbull's all, he's an ex-Goldman Sachs guy.
Yeah.
And he's like he leads the Liberal Party in Australia, and he's the prime minister right now. He's like the Hillary Clinton of Australia that won the election. So Trump just rips him a new one, starts screaming at him. Nobody's coming into my country. And by the way, we've got so much leverage. You guys need us more than we need you. And supposedly hung up on him. That sounds
crikey, Mike. Crikey.
That sounds exactly like a Trump negotiation.
Yeah.
And Trump negotiations a lot of times never work. He's the first one to walk away from a deal that he doesn't like.
Right.
So walking away from diplomatic relations with a country like Australia is a high possibility. And if you look at it, it's really interesting that you had Obama loved certain countries and hated certain countries.
Sure. He loved Saudi Arabia.
He loved Saudi Arabia. Obama loved China. He loved Australia. and he loved Germany, and then Trump gets in, and all of a sudden he loves Russia and the UK, and he hates Germany, and he hates China, and he hates Australia. But you look at the people who are running the Chinese and the Australians. Oh, China's kind of out for they're a lone entity. He's just trying to stop them from making all our products, making products and selling it to us. Trump wants to end globalization, which would destroy everything in the monetary system, which is fine. I think that's what we need. But as far as Germany and Australia, this person in Australia, Turnbull, those are part of the bad guy operations. Those are countries that haven't kicked out their bad guy leaders. And when Merkel goes and when Turnbull goes, those countries will pull a Brexit. The interesting thing for Germany is I hear a lot of the German nationals are just giving up on their country and moving to South America, which is really interesting.
Yeah, it's they're going the way of the Reich.
Well, they should. Yeah, I mean, for various reasons. But the biggest reason is their country has been invaded.
It has been invaded.
And their government said, yeah, come on in. Doors open for 1 million refugees who want to live however they want to live. They want all the free stuff that the rich state of Germany will give them. And that's what Clinton was trying to do to the United States, and Obama was doing. Open the doors and come on in, have all the free stuff. And what it does, it builds the base of the Democrats and the liberals who want them to vote for them because they're giving them free stuff. The socialism's great until you run out of other people's money. And then it crashes, it turns to communism, and then you got to overthrow your government and it goes back to capitalism. So we were on a slippery slope towards true socialism, and Trump is trying to stop that. But I don't think there's any way to stop it without crashing the entire system.
I mean, there's one thing I've come to the realization as well, man. It's whatever they need to do to get this thing implemented. They need to. I mean, I never realized the pushback against Trump, against Americans, would be this intense. He needs to crash the system sooner than later.
I think he wants to
happen.
Yeah. I think he wants to. I think I've been under the impression. And I've written about it in my last two reports, the one about the Economist magazine cover and the latest one about the gold and silver price timeline. Trump wants to crash the system because he doesn't want to fix everything a couple years down the line, be halfway done with fixing everything and have the crash happen. He knows there's bubbles. He knows about the gold and silver market manipulation. He knows about, the rigged government numbers as far as GDP and unemployment, and the problem is you can't go from the old system, which is 100% rigged, to some kind of free market system without letting everything find its free market spot. Let the stock market go, let traders trade, and it'll end up where it ends up. But having the exchange stabilization fund in there buying every time it dips more than 2% has done nobody good over the past 50 years. So yeah, it's in order for Trump to really rebuild America and make it great, he's going to have to tear down the false America that is standing up right now.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Absolutely correct. There's so many issues going on right now. And my thing is, it has to go on the strike against Soros. He's got to hit Soros. He's got to choke this thing. And again, he's got, like you said, bro, you nailed it. It's better to do it now rather than later. Let's just get it over with. I'm sick of this BS, man. I really am.
Yeah, I mean, if he's really going to fix things, you don't want to start fixing them, get halfway through fixing them, and have the system collapse.
Yeah, exactly correct.
But then he's also going to have to fire half of his cabinet that I think he was planning to fire anyway. Mnuchin being number one. Mnuchin,
yes, exactly. I was going to have Harley Schlanger on earlier today for Hanging with Harley. And Harley and his whole team, they're doing a huge push against Mnuchin to prevent this a-hole from getting into
it's too late. Power. They already got it. Well, Congress has to vote on him now, but they have the votes.
Yeah.
They already got through the committee by just none of the Democrats showed up, so they just voted anyway.
That's right. That's what you talk about, that nuclear option, correct?
I think the nuclear option was something else. I don't remember. Oh,
yeah, because the Democrats were not showing up.
Yeah, I know that, but what was the nuclear? When Trump said the nuclear option, it was referring to the Chief Justice that he was going to nominate.
Ah, got it.
So
that's
what they call it.
Yeah.
It's got nothing to do with nuclear bombs. So
no, yeah.
Let's tell the left right now. Don't jump down about Trump pressing the nuclear button.
Exactly. Which brings us to your new report on price predictions, man.
Oh yeah. All right. So here's my disclaimer.
Break it down.
And I told everybody, this is absolutely for entertainment purposes only. Nobody knows what the prices of gold, silver, and Bitcoin are going to be in 10 days, and 10 weeks, and 10 years. The people who might know are the riggers, and I'm not a rigger. So these price predictions, I sent out a report. Let me give you a bit of background. Everybody says, well, when do you think gold and silver? First they say, when's gold, silver, and Bitcoin gonna take their moonshot, blah, 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 right? And then I say, well, I don't know. Nobody knows. And then they say, well, what do you think? What are your predictions? I've been getting that for like 15 years. When do you think it happened? I'm not going to hold you to it, but when do you think it will happen? So every year I'll send out my price predictions and for the year. And sometimes, most of the time, it's been dead wrong. Bitcoin's been right, but because I always thought that the manipulation would be over. So I put this report together with so many caveats saying, don't believe what I'm writing. Don't believe it. But since you asked, here's what I think is going to happen. And I go month to month. So I'll talk about kind of what I think is going to go down. And then I'll say this month, I think Bitcoin prices will be, between 1,000 and 1,100. And I think silver prices will be between $20 and $30. And I think gold prices will be between, 1,200 to 15. And I go month to month.
Yeah.
Every month. And I kind of give a little synopsis of when I think the crash will happen and when I think Bitcoin, gold, and silver prices, where they'll move. Ultimately, it's a huge move when you accumulate all the issues that we're going to go through in 2017. We're looking at a gigantic move for all three of them. Bitcoin off the charts, silver even potentially even higher if they do actually let it go. Now you notice ever since Trump got into office, Bitcoin, gold, and silver have been steadily rising.
Right.
Not a big one, because the big one that the riggers love the big moves, but because they can get the weak hands in and they can slam it down and destroy sentiment. But this is a slow and steady rise. I don't think Trump's going to let Mnuchin or any of the riggers go crazy with slamming gold and silver again. The question is, when is it going to be free of manipulation? And that brings up a whole lot of other issues that we've been talking about. When will the government stop rigging the stock market and the bond market and the oil market and the U.S. dollar? So anyway, the report's $10 if you want to get it. You just go to my website. It's the top thing. Go to roadtorudo.com. And it is for entertainment purposes only. That I'm going to put 2 big red exclamation points after that. Entertainment purposes only. But yeah, and the funny thing is, I've been saying, I don't know, nobody knows. And then for January, I wrote this report in before Trump got in. And the end of January, I nailed the numbers for all 3, Bitcoin, gold, and silver. Because a lot of people thought once Trump gets in, he's the secret bad guy. He's going to slam down the prices of gold and silver, blah, blah, blah. So I'm 1 for 1. I got 11 more months left. We'll see. And the moves are, ultimately, I have Bitcoin going up near $10,000 a coin by the end of the year. So, yeah. And silver, could be even crazier. But let's talk about Bitcoin real quick. Woo! Exciting. China, the last Bitcoin slammed down from, 1,200 to, I think it got below 800, 700 and something. It was all about China fixing their exchanges and telling the big players not to rehypothecate, not to allow traders to basically buy and sell Bitcoin on margin. obviously the largest traders in there are people like JP Morgan, throwing the price around. But at some point, they're all going to try to pull their Bitcoin out of these exchanges, and that's going to be a problem because all these exchanges, these trades that are happening are not Bitcoin transactions. They are exchanges within a pool, and then when you pull the Bitcoin out of the exchange, that's when the transaction is reported on the blockchain. That's when it's a real Bitcoin transaction. So you'll see something happen. You might see something happen like what happened with Mt. Gox. Mm-hmm. Which was, I believe it wasn't lost Bitcoin. It was people trying to pull their Bitcoin out of Mt. Gox and Mt. Gox not having the Bitcoin because they just, they traded in a pool. And you could tell by the volumes, when you trade 1 million Bitcoins a day on the exchanges, you got to wonder, wait, there's only 16 million Bitcoin that have ever been produced. A couple million of those are lost forever from the early miners who threw away their computers and stuff. And then, Satoshi Nakamoto has about 1 million coins. So you're really talking about the total potential of maybe 12 or 13 million Bitcoins that could ever be traded. And then most of the people who own Bitcoin just sitting on it. So their Bitcoin is not in the exchanges. So it's kind of like how many Bitcoin are traded versus how many Bitcoin are available to trade. The numbers are astronomical. Mm-hmm. Especially, Bitcoin was trading about 1 million coins a day, which is crazy. It's all within these exchanges. These aren't blockchain transactions. So China came in and put the hammer down. The price of Bitcoin dropped because everybody thought China was trying to destroy Bitcoin, but it's exactly the opposite. China's trying to legitimize Bitcoin and make it so that they can move to some form of Bitcoin system, especially since Trump is alienating China. So China doesn't care about the U.S. dollar anymore, and the U.S. dollar is currently the world's reserve currency. I think in the near future, we're going to see Bitcoin being the world's reserve currency.
Yeah. You know what? It's pretty interesting also, man, because in 2016, what was the best performing currency of the year? It's Bitcoin.
True.
Yeah.
True. Although
best performing currency 2016.
Yeah, but you can go back and when Mt. Gox went down, it went from 1,200 to 100. So it was the worst that year. So yeah, it's highly volatile. But there's more and more smart people and smart money, especially building out the blockchain infrastructure. Like billions of dollars are going into the infrastructure for cryptocurrencies, blockchain stuff and Bitcoin stuff. So and these the VC money and all that's gone into Bitcoin over the past 7-8 years. They can all buy. Theoretically, if the price didn't move, the total market cap of Bitcoin's only around $16 billion, which is nothing. It's a Warren Buffett could buy all of Bitcoin if the price didn't move when he was bidding on it. He could buy all of it, and of course, nobody wants to own all of Bitcoin because you'd be the only one. The price would go to zero because no one would want it. You're the only guy who had it. It's all about being distributed and being of use to people that makes it valuable and important. And I think it's going to be an amazing technology to help us out in the future.
Oh, absolutely, man! I think it's tremendous. And did you get the latest information that the Winklevoss twins, they've figured out a way to speed up Bitcoin transactions?
Yeah, but
with Gemini, it's a program called Gemini.
Well, yeah, but that's a pool. That's a Bitcoin derivative. So I'd say careful with that.
Oh, I thought it was a payment thing where they just speed up the payment of Bitcoin. I didn't know this was a pool.
No. What they're doing, they're looking to do a Bitcoin ETF. So yeah, I mean, like Coinbase. Coinbase is an online wallet. You can buy and sell Bitcoin, and when you give money to Coinbase, they go out and buy it for you, and they'll put it in your account. Mm-hmm. Now, most of the time, they just use their pool of Bitcoin that they have, and when they need more, they'll go out and buy it. So a Coinbase transaction, Coinbase to Coinbase, is done much faster because you're within that same pool.
Yeah.
So, but the speed problem will be solved technologically. Cliff High has talked briefly about this, that there is part of the Satoshi Nakamoto code, the original, Bitcoin operating platform, has, he said, I think it was, I don't know, 50 lines of code in it that would easily solve the speed problem in the future. And I think that'll be another change to the Bitcoin. The people who kind of monitor it, I forgot what they are called, but they make improvements to Bitcoin every once in a while, and I think that will be one of the improvements, so that it doesn't take so long for these transactions to actually go through and be approved by enough miners.
Yeah. I mean, it's pretty funny that exactly what Cliff talked about in terms of not only the price moves of Bitcoin, but also the chaos and confusion that would be in this country at this time period. He was spot on.
Oh yeah, I mean, Cliff gets a lot of stuff just completely right, and his only failings, I think, are kind of not putting enough emphasis on the rigging of the markets, how powerful that was over time. And that's all of us. We've all said that, the price is rigged, and by buying physical silver, you could kill, the rigging job. Well, no, you can't, because they'll just, sell 10 billion more ounces of electronic silver, and the prices of everything, gold and silver especially, are traded in the derivative market, on the COMEX and at the LBMA. These are derivative exchanges. They are not physical exchanges. The LBME says they're a physical exchange, but we all know they're not by the volumes that they trade. There is not hundreds of billions of ounces of silver available to be transferred like the LBMA says every year. So they're lying.
Right.
So yeah, who'd have thought a banking owned exchange would lie?
Why, never.
Well, that's the insane thing is the COMEX is a self-regulated entity.
Sure.
Why would you let the criminal of criminals, commodity traders, be a self-regulated entity? There's only one reason, because when you're in an exchange full of crooks, you have to let the crooks be crooks. And that's how the CFTC is never coming down on these criminals. Deutsche Bank has already admitted that the silver market is rigged, and they rigged it, and they told who did the rigging with them, and the CFTC has done nothing.
Nothing.
Zero.
They're involved in the rigging themselves.
Of course, they run cover.
Yep. And then the rating agencies don't want to do nothing because they'll just take their rating somewhere else, and they can't afford to lose that profit. It's the most disgusting system ever set up. I'm just sick of it, man. I just want this whole damn thing to be burned to the ground. I mean, I'm just one of those moods today. I just want it to stop.
Yeah, we all do, and I think the even the left, I know you hate them, but they have this pent up hate that they don't know what it should be directed towards. And I think the majority of when they know how the monetary system works, when they know how money is created out of thin air, when they know how their markets have been rigged and the lies that are told by the government, that will get all of the focus. When the system starts breaking down, they won't care about the injustices for the asylum for immigrants or anything like that. They're going to care about, oh my God, not only was our government doing this, but they were also rigging my whole life and my monetary, and they've stolen all my money, and now we're left with nothing. We need to get rid of government, and that will be a great day when we do. But it'll be very difficult because, we don't know how to live without government. That's the sad part is, all these liberals are saying, oh, we need to stop this and stop this and stop this. Well, who's going to pay for all your programs? Who's going to, Meryl Streep is great standing up at the Oscars saying, oh, we got the worst guy in the White House, and we need to hug people and let them into our country. Okay, Meryl, open your checkbook and your wallet, but don't take it out of mine. Don't make the federal government pay for it, because I'm going to have to pay the federal government back. And if that's the way you feel, go out and do it. Take your multi-million dollars and sell your gown that you wore tonight and give it to these asylum seekers. If that's how you really feel, stop being a hypocrite and go out and do what you say should be done. Don't tell other people to do it.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly correct, man. And that's the whole thing with a lot of these leftists. They're very generous with money, just not their own.
especially Hollywood. I mean, my God, these people get. Somebody told me actors are professional liars.
Yes, they are,
and they have billions of dollars. Give not just a token of your salary to these causes. Give it all. But don't tell me to give it all. Don't tell me to give anything. If that's what you believe, you do it. And I would love it. That would be the greatest thing, and you will be seen as the greatest human being. But don't get mad at me if I don't want to do what you want to do. I mean, this is one of my favorite bartenders in the Oakland area is a teacher, and I've known her for years. And I was out with some friends, and she knows that she listens to the Road to Ruta stuff on occasion, but I know she is just so anti-Trump, and she has all her you can find a million people within California who will believe what you believe if you're anti-Trump. And I get into this argument with her, and I'm like, I think what you're saying and what you believe is great. Just don't make me believe it. That's all I want you to do. And then she's cut me off. She said, all right, that's it. I'm not giving you any more drinks. I'm like, oh, are you kidding me? Brutal. Not that I was drunk, mind you. At least at that point.
Funny. Well, it's what do you think is going to happen, man? Next couple of weeks, bro. What do you see happening? Or not say next couple of weeks, so you'll be back here with me next week, but in the course of the next couple of days, what do you see going on?
I see more of the same, more of the hatred building. It depends when these revelations about pedophilia within our higher ranks comes out, because I do think that will come out. I think it's in Cliff's latest report too. Oh, and if you guys haven't bought Cliff's latest report, go to Half Past Human. His February report's out, and digest it and chew it up, and it's good stuff. So I think it's only $15. So do that, buy that.
Also, his YouTube video is out of Cliff's latest Wuju.
Yeah, Wujo. Yeah, he's brilliant. He's brilliant. Oh, the other thing, and this is both you and me. There's a lot of YouTube pirating going on these days. Like, they'll take this interview that we're having.
They're posting to millions of other places and sites.
Yeah, and put the monetization on it and run ads, and so I've been starting to fight that fight to say, hey, if it's not your material, then you shouldn't be posting it on your site. It's actually illegal to do that.
Right.
So please don't. Yes, refer all your followers to listen to the. You can post it, from the site onto your site and with the embed function and all that, but don't try to make money off my work or V's work or anybody's work who's not involved in the work, and because that's turning into a problem, especially with the YouTube guys. And I hear that people are starting to get really pissed off. And so if you're hearing this and you post, you download this interview and you put it on your site as your own material, don't do that. Just put a link, either a link or do an embed of the video, and that way you support me and V and everybody who's trying to spread the word.
Exactly. And that's why you and I need to get together probably after this call or something like that, because we are working on some stuff to fix that problem. We'll probably ready in a couple of weeks. So
cool.
We'll utilize it for both our things, so it kind of puts an end to all that stuff.
Wow, you're so good. You're so tech.
Hey, it's not me, man. It's my partners. I got great partners, bro, and thank God for those guys. Those guys are like pirates of the Silicon Valley, man. And they're two Silicon Valley guys. So I'm just like, hey, two techies, man, who just freaking brilliant dudes. I'm like, all right, I'm lucky. I'm very lucky. I'm like, yes,
you're the talent. All you gotta do is show up.
I'm just a talking head, man. This whole operation, it's those guys. I mean, without those guys, I'll be nowhere. I'm just a talking head.
But I think with the destruction of the mainstream media, I think the alternative media, I don't even call it the alternative media, the YouTube media now, and the websites and podcasts and all that is just going to be gigantic going forward, because it's decentralized. And if you haven't done your subscribe to V's channel yet, do it. Subscribe to my channel as well on YouTube. Do it. Hit subscribe, because that's where you're going to get your news in the future. And I think CNN. I don't think CNN is going to be around next year. I think they have shown themselves as just a real sad case of, especially their pedophile exposure stuff. They refuse to talk about the Clintons and the Clinton Global Initiative, and that'll be shown very soon that they are involved in it as well. So, yeah, a lot to look forward to over the next couple of weeks.
Yep, absolutely, man. Hey, once again, bro, would you plug your site and your work again so that people know?
Okay, roadtoruta.com. And if you haven't been there, there's a free section right at the top, and there's a bunch of original articles on how the Road to Ruta theory came to be, why these Federal Reserve Bank comic books are so important, and those of you that didn't even know there was comic books at the Federal Reserve Bank need to click on those links, because it all adds up. And the more we're going to see very soon, I think the Road to Ruta theory will be exposed. And when that happens, everybody's going to say, oh my God, the Fed and the U.S. government were printing money on purpose to destroy the dollar to return to a gold standard. That's a big deal.
Yeah.
And it was all in these comics. So check them out. And if you can find a comic online and Wishes and Rainbow comic, buy it and save it for, like with your original Superman comic.
Absolutely, man. It's going to be a collector's item. I believe it.
I think so. Who knows?
I think so too. I mean, who knows? It's going to be one of those things when people, if this thing all comes out, it plays out as as we say that it's going to, then people are going to be looking back at it and be like, wow, Bix was right, and this freaking comic book is going to shoot through the moon.
True. I'm with you. I got a couple of them.
I need to find me one, bro. That's what I need to do.
Right.
And I need to have it graded and then put into a frame and sealed.
Yeah, there you go. That's the key. That's the key.
Cool deal. All right, my friend. With that being said, that wraps up another Hump Day. It's a post Hump Day, and we will catch everybody next week. So also follow me on Twitter at Road I was going to say the Road to Ruta.
At the Road to Ruta. Yeah, there you go. Come on along.
At the Road to Ruta. You can follow me as at the Rogue Money, and check me out on roguemoney.net. There's some great articles up there. American My Dan is up. It's a great article, and as well as the rest of the articles by the team over at Rogue Money. So check that out, and follow us on Facebook at Rogue Money over there as well. And again, guys, subscribe to the channel. Subscribe to Bix's channel. It's super important you guys support us. With that being said, we are over, and we are out.